Hello, guys. This is Javen Kuzistow. I am back with the boys, or the boy, with Crossworks Media Podcast. Just spent 2 hard weeks of vacation in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It is gorgeous up there. If you like lakes, if you like no service, and you kind of like mosquitoes, I definitely recommend it. I'm just kidding, but it was nice. So today we're going to be talking about college and about Joe Biden's new debt relief, $10,000 debt relief. So, yeah, we're going to get right into it.
So just this past Wednesday, Joe Biden announced that he will be canceling up to $20,000 in federal student loan debt for Pell Grant borrowers and up to $10,000 for all borrowers of an income of less than $125,000 for an individual and $250,000 for a household. So this is pretty insane news because this is something that Democrats have been talking about for a really long time, is the student loan forgiveness. Because they view this, college and stuff, it should be, in the end, they believe that it should be free, but, this is something they've been working for a long time, and, this is kind of just an out of a blue thing that Joe Biden announced, and, a lot of people just think of it as a, kind of trying to paying off his friends and stuff, because it's like, a lot of, what poor people are really going to college, so... this is really going to affect more higher middle class people if you think about it.
Yeah, and then if they did have money and they get, these what are they called? Like entrapment loans or whatever, predatory loans. If they did have money, they don't anymore. And honestly, there's a lot of people who go to college now for no reason. And schools push you to go to college no matter what, even though if you join the military or if you work in the construction field, you can, or even union work, not a huge fan necessarily, but even still, there's a lot of union workers that make a good amount of money, or even just construction workers, electricians, all these trades that are in demand. They don't want you to go to them for some reason. They're pushing colleges. I don't know if they're paid off by colleges or what, but why do schools push people into college so bad? I was in 6th grade. And people were like, you need to go to college. You need to start thinking about college. And I obviously didn't. But I don't know. So I think there's a lot of people who are going into college. And I think that the colleges obviously want them to because they can pull these massive loans out on them. And there's no reason to. So people don't stick with it usually. They usually don't do the 4 years, or they just... There's many, many people I know who went to college and they're not even doing what they went to school for. But...
Yeah, so... when I don't know if you guys know this, but I went to college for 1 year. I went to Clemson University, and I went for civil engineering for 1 year. And it was a cool experience. I had a lot of fun there, but God, colleges just isn't right for everyone. I really hated it there for some times because, if you, I don't know, for people who didn't go to college at all. Business degrees and stuff like that, that's known as the party degree because you don't really do anything.
Yeah.
I know in the first quarter of the first year, there was this big engineering exam, and because when you start out, everyone takes all. It doesn't matter if you're going to take what engineering, you start out all in the base engineering classes, and a lot of people failed their first engineering exam and then went right into going to business degrees. And so, I'll be honest, it sucked. Half the time, my entire weeks were just made up of me doing work and doing projects. And so, I did it, I met some really cool people there. I did have a lot of fun, but just the work and stuff, I didn't even do anything closer. Right now, I do, plumbing. I run a crew for a company, but I don't do anything even remotely. If you think about it, when you're 18 years old, it's, who knows what 18-year-old knows exactly what he wants to do? That's such an insanely massive life decision to push on an 18-year-old kid.
It really is. And then they'll say, well, if you, because I told them, I said, I'm going to take a year or 2 off. I'm not going to, I don't know what I want to do, so I'm not going to. And they're like, well, the chances of you ever going to college, after you take a year off after high school, the chances of enrolling is maybe 5, 10, whatever. Just it's low. Like people don't do it, and it's like, well, that just means I found something I want to do or like to do that I don't need to go to school for, you know. And that's one thing with me is like if I knew I was like if I'm not like into it, I'm not gonna go to college because I don't want to waste my time and money because I'm just gonna slack off. Like I really wanted to make sure, and actually I was planning on going to school to be a mechanic, and we had like college prep or not college preparatory classes. It's called the Running Start program in New Hampshire. They probably have something down here too, where you pay some money and it's not expensive, and then you enroll while you're in high school with the Nashua Community College. And it's like a college class in high school. Like you get credits for it, which I think isn't the same thing with AP classes.
Yeah, we have AP classes, which you don't have to pay any money for.
Right. So this isn't an AP class. We had AP classes, but this is like different. This is like an actual endorsed by the college class or something. Like it's almost tied with the local community college. So like I did that, and I have like 8 credits in school, or no, 6 credits I think in college. I think it's like 4 elective credits, and then or whatever the automotive thing is, and then I think it's like 2 math credits or something, because or maybe it's science, but something like that, because when you did the auto course, like there was class from time where you learn about the combustions of an engine and all that stuff. So I was gonna do that, and I was looking into the colleges for like specialty, like colleges like ATI, I think it's called Automotive Technical Institute or something, is like $80,000 for 4 years, and like you don't make that much money as a mechanic, like unless you're on like a NASCAR or something team or a big diesel technician, which I was planning on being. Like, yeah, you could make money with that, but it's still not that much money. Most of these jobs where you go to school for two years, which is like the base mechanic stuff, you're lucky if you're making $50,000 a year. Like seriously, and that's not that much money. And I'm making, I shouldn't say
more than that.
Yeah, I'm making more than that right now, and I work probably just as much hours, honestly. I mean, probably less. Mechanics, obviously, if you're in a shop, if you're working in a shop, you're only working when the shop's open. But the problem is if you're a diesel mechanic, you're out in the field. Like if they're bulldozer, if they're working 24-hour shifts on a job site, like, day and night, and their bulldozer breaks down, guess what? They're going to call you up, and if you work for a company, they're going to send you out. Like, yep, you got to go fix the bulldozer. So, I don't know. I think college it can be good. Like, obviously, there's people who need to go to college, doctors, all that stuff. But I think that that school has become like almost like a party thing. It's like it's like high school, but just adult high school now. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many people go there with no vision, no actual desire to be there necessarily for what they want to be when they grow up.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, your high school is just it's become everything has just pushed more kids to college. Like they don't even care about trade schools and stuff anymore. And so that you have this little 18-year-old kid. Well, I mean even 17. I mean, like you're like 16 and they're already trying to get you to like figure out what you're gonna do, what college you're gonna go to, because you're having all these like, tests and everything that you're gonna be taking, SATs, ACTs. But they're just implanting in your mind that you just need to go to college because you just won't make that much money. And then, but I mean, the people that are telling you this are people that have gone to college for how many years and only make like $30,000 a year.
Exactly.
Like these teachers, like they're like, oh, you guys got to go to college, and it's like I already make more than my teachers.
Well, that's because for some reason, teachers like think you have to go to college to make good money. So they're like, wow, like I went to college and I'm only making $45,000 a year if you're lucky. And they're like, man, how are you making it? And I told this one teacher, like I was making like $1,000 a week when I was doing concrete, which obviously I was working 70 hours a week. She's like, that's more money than she was making.
Yeah.
And that was after taxes. My check was like $900,000. And she's like, how do you make so much money? I'm like, it's concrete, it's construction. She's like, wow, that's crazy. And I'm like, unless you're going to be like a professor, which I don't even think college professors make that much money necessarily.
I don't know how much they make.
They're obviously more than a high school teacher, but teachers don't get paid jack.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I think it's more of a personal story. I don't know if I should. Well, I'll just say a guy that I know was telling me one time where he was going to he was in high school, and he was talking to one of his teachers, and his teacher was like, asking me if if he's going to college, and he's like, heck no, I'm not going to college. And she's like, well, then you're probably not going to do that well in life. And now he like owns like a siding business and everything.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, that's like, and he makes more than them. Like, I know he makes more than the teacher. He makes pretty good money.
Yeah.
So like, it's so ridiculous. And I mean, when you go to college, like college is it's so weird. It's so different. Like when you like, it really is just based off like like a lot of times it's based off the professor you get.
Yeah.
It's all luck. You'll just try like there's like certain professors that are there's like this website. I forgot what the name of the website was, but you can go on there and it'll tell you can type in your school. And type in your like the professor that you're like when you're signing up for classes, you can type in your professor's name that you're looking at, and it'll like students will go on there and like rate how good the professor is and stuff like that. Like, oh, this guy grades really hard, he doesn't teach that well and stuff like that, or this guy's great. And so obviously you want to go for the better professors.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes those classes fill up so fast, and you can't get into there. Like one of my buddies, we were in a Calc 3 class. And my buddy was in a Calc 3 class where his professor was just like really like, teaching them so well. And, he was almost like lenient with the grades and stuff like that. And then I go into my Calc 3 class and this lady's like, yeah, you guys are going to be pretty much just teaching yourselves this semester. Only in here I'll be like, more, it'll be more like this will be more like a homework class. And you guys will have to be teaching yourselves at home. At your own leisure. I was like, what the heck? Like, what's the point of you?
Yeah.
So I went horrible in that class.
And
Everyone
you're
did.
paying money.
I'm paying you
to literally learn yourself.
It's ridiculous. Like people in that class really did not do that good. And it's like, well, obviously this freaking lady sucks. And it's so stupid. And then I had in my English class, I had a really lenient English class. I'm not even good at English really. And I was doing pretty well in there. I had like a B or something, like a high B in that class. And then one of my buddies had such a bad English teacher, and he's better at English than me, but he was getting like a lower C in there.
Hey, C's and D's get degrees though.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Yeah, it's. I lost my train of thought, but it's kind of the same way in high school though. Like, I take a very special type of teacher to learn. And I lived in a small town, and they couldn't pay that great, so we had the lower echelon of teachers. And, a lot of them were just garbage teachers, They didn't know how to teach. They didn't know anything, and you're just learning a bunch of useless crap, and they're always trying to push you to go to college. And I think, too, part of it, obviously, is, us being in our community, the Finnish community. We know construction. We have an uncle, he, dropped out of high school. He was 8th grade, I think, maybe, and now he's doing well for himself. His house is paid off. He lives in a nice house, not huge, extravagant, but I guarantee you he makes more money than every single teacher I know, obviously. And so that's the thing is they look at it themselves and they look at their parents. They all went to school. They don't understand how we can make it. The Finnish community we come from, we're in the construction business, like Clayton was saying, the kid that started his own siding business. You'll have people who go to, there's people in New Hampshire who went to get a business degree to start their own landscaping business. But, for what? His dad owned a trucking company. You could ask your dad how to do the taxes. It's not that much work to do this. So, it's... People, they don't want you to be independent anymore, and they want you to be a slave to the college system. And, when I was up in Michigan, the Michigan Tech was just starting, and there's all these frat parties and frat houses, and there was the Houghton County Fair was going on, and, dude, you should have seen the ladies from the college, just dyed hair, piercings everywhere, just total liberal women. And that's another thing, too, is that colleges are just a liberal factory. They're just pumping out liberal ideology left and right. Whatisawoman.com, dude, Matt Walsh. Go watch that. You'll see that professor in there just, you start confronting them with truth, and they're just like, I don't like the way this talk is going, this, that, and the other. And we have straight idiots trying to teach our kids.
And that's why the left wants college to be free, because, of course, they want these indoctrination camps to be free so that, more people can go in there and more people can be indoctrinated. I mean, when I was in college, there was a lot of dumb people that made it into there. I'll be honest, like, I'm not going to call people out, but there were some people in there that were, they should not have made it, but somehow they did. So, I mean, when people come out like flaunting, their college degrees, they're not the smartest people, dude. Like, they really aren't. Just because you have this piece of paper that says that you're good at underwater basket weaving, it doesn't mean that you're the smartest person ever. You're just not. I'm sorry. You can, the college has pretty much just made like a high school diploma useless. Like, all these like experience is like almost nothing anymore. Like, you just need a college degree, and I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't think college is useless. Not to say that, but I mean, there are very important things that you should go to college for. And even when it comes to the arts, I think you should, there should be people that go to college for the arts, in literature and stuff like that, because literature and stuff that impacts the culture. So you need people well learned in this stuff. And but the problem is that with the arts in college right now, they're so all the arts are all liberals. So that's why, I mean, all the art that's coming out is liberal, which, art affects culture. So that's why all our culture and stuff is becoming liberal, because all the people that in the classics and art stuff, they're all coming out with these liberal arts degrees, and literally liberal arts degrees.
Well, then you look at like Harvard gave that David Hogg, that the Parkland shooting kid,
Yep.
who I'm pretty sure wasn't even at the shooting. I'm gonna make sure, so just hold on a minute. But they gave that kid a free ride to Harvard just because of his political activeness. So you got these schools that are just taking people in off their political ideologies, and so the old schools that we have, the Ivy League schools, are just pumping out trash again, and it's just constant bullcrap like that.
And then you have all these, what is it? Affirmative action that are like just straight up racism, where they try to hold back Asian and white students, so then like more blacks and Latinos and stuff can come in, but it's so ridiculous. I mean, why would you? It's so funny because they try to go, they're such good people and they come against racism, but then they're so for holding with a I guess you can't even say person of color, because they say Asian's a person of color, but they'll hold like let's say a black person. They'll let them into college even though they have less grades over an Asian person, because they say there's too many Asians in college.
Yeah.
But
so I think the question is, would you recommend people to go straight to college after high school?
Not for everyone, no. I think too many people go to college straight after high school. It's not that bad to take a year off to really make up your decision. You have the rest of your life to go to college, really.
You really do. And I know people who are older who went to school and are nurses now and in their mid-30s.
Yeah.
And I think, too, like, if you, like, let's say you went to go get a job at BMW in South Carolina. I think the way it should work is, and this would be better for BMW and all these companies, is like, okay, you get a job at BMW straight out of high school. You start working. Oh, they notice that, you'd be good in a managerial position. And they could be like, hey, if you want to, you can take these college classes. We'd like to get you through college, maybe help you or whatever. And then that way you're in a job. If you like the atmosphere you're in, then you go to college while in the job or something like that. They send you to school. And BMW probably has this, honestly. They probably have their own, like, not school, but their own teaching thing that they'll send you through to learn what they need you to learn. Because I think college, it's not something that was, like, when you went to college, like, back in the day, like 50, 60, 70 years ago, it was, like, a big thing to go to college. Not a lot of people went to college because you didn't need to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you became, like 100 years ago, if you were going to be a blacksmith, you became an apprentice, and you learned.
Through experience.
You learned that trade. Now people are like, well, I want to be an engineer, so I'm going to go to college. And it's like, okay, but you're learning all this stuff you don't need to learn. Like, why do you need to go to English class? Back in the day, if you were going to be what's it called? An engineer, or if you're going to be a surveyor, you went and worked with engineers and surveyors. And people who went to college wanted to actually learn more. Like, it was everything. Like, they wanted to expand their horizons throughout of anything. So I think, and I do believe it's reverting back to that type of, what's it called? Studying. Like, I think if you want to be an apprentice or an engineer, you shouldn't have to go to college for that. Like, why do you need to? Why do you need to know English to, like, English courses and read Shakespeare in order to be an engineer? You don't need to be. And obviously there's a lot of mathematics and science involved, but you'll learn that. I mean, I know guys who can barely type and spell, who can frame a house, and they know and there's a lot of math problems, and they use algebra and all that stuff to do math, and they know it. Why? Because they use it. You will learn, especially, like, if you're building a house and, you use these math problems, multiplying cubic feet, and obviously it's a simple math problem, but if you're standing there and you're like, okay, I need to figure out how much concrete I need to order for this pour, you'll pick that up faster than in a school book, because you're there, you understand what's going on. Yeah. So it's,
which is a way a lot of people learn is visual instead of just listening to your teacher say it.
And men tend to be more visual learners like that.
And that is why when it comes to college, women tend to go to college more nowadays. Women tend to graduate more than men nowadays. Like, they have a higher percentage of graduating than men, because a lot of people say that the school system right now just isn't built for dudes.
It's not, and it's stupid. You know what we need? We need, like,
even when it comes to lower grades, like to sit these, like, little energetic dudes all down in a classroom, and then if they can't sit down for 8 hours in a day, then they're like, oh, this kid probably needs a medication, ADHD medication, to calm himself down.
SSRIs.
I'm like, what 8-year-old is going to be able to should be sitting in a classroom for 8 hours a day?
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
It's just, and that's the whole thing. That's why I don't like public school much, and I don't even love homeschooling. I wish there was a good public school institution, honestly, but that's why people are doing more charter schools. Like, my cousins are now going to a charter school in New Hampshire. It's a new thing that's happening, and they only do up to, I think, 5th grade. And then there's a small startup, so then after every grade, they're going to add another one. So next year, they'll have 6th grade. And so charter schools are becoming popular, and, a lot of people are homeschooling these days. They really are. After COVID-19, and people just stayed in homeschool. And I think the problem with homeschooling with me is, you really have to be dedicated in order to be a homeschool teacher. And I'm not that dedicated. My wife's not that dedicated. Like, we're not interested in doing it. So I think it'd be, unless the schools down here get, like, really, really bad, and they're not bad at all, that's when I'll pull my kid out. But, like, I feel like as of right now, if Kimber was of age, in order to put her in public school or homeschool, it'd be more damaging for her to go to homeschool, because we just don't have the time or the energy to teach our kids everything.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually have, like, homeschool programs, or, like, a bunch of, like, moms or something that will come together.
And you need to, honestly.
Yeah, because you need the socialization of your child. When you you think of that stereotype of, like, the awkward homeschool kid, but that's because the parent homeschooled their kid wrong. Because when they're that young, the students need to be able to, like, the little kids need to be able to know how to socialize. Because, like, at that age, like, socialization is such a massive thing to, like, a young child like that. I think it was I forgot who I was listening to, but they were like, if a kid doesn't know, like, the correct, like, social cues by, like, the age of, like, was it, like, 5 or something like that, then, like, pretty much, like psychologists know that, like, the rest of their life they'll be, like, the loner kid.
Yeah.
Like you need like that. You need the socialization. And that's why you have, like, the stereotype of the, like, the weird homeschooler kid. But I mean, there's a lot of homeschoolers that, like, are actually, like, well homeschooled, but it's just the parents actually have to care about it enough to do it right. You can't just half do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think up in New Hampshire, once again, that's where I lived my whole childhood, and partly, like, until I was, like, 18. But there was a bunch of kids homeschooling. They were public schooled up until, I think, 4th or 5th grade. Their moms pulled them out, and what they ended up doing was, well, I have a sneeze coming, but what they ended up doing is you'd have this, oh my, sorry, like, it keeps coming and going, the sneeze, and then it goes away. But so yeah, you had, like, let's say 5 or 6 kids just from my grade. and they kind of all knew each other. Moms were all friends, and then their younger siblings, they pulled them out, and then the families, so these 5 families, pulled some money together and hired a tutor for stuff they didn't know how to teach. You know what I'm saying? You know, they hired to help with like math, and then they would all meet at their house, so-and-so's house, and this tutor would teach them the math. And I think that's a good idea too. So it's almost like a private school in a way.
And at least if you do that, then you know that it's good kids.
Yeah.
Good, the family, the parents,
the culture.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think you should not go to college unless you want to expand your horizons. Like I said earlier, like a lot of people just want to learn more in life, and that's fine. 2, you know what you're going to be going to school for. Like I have a friend from New Hampshire, and he's going to be an engineer, and he's in his 4th year. He's about to graduate and be an engineer. His wife went to school, but guess what? They got married. She got pregnant.
She's out.
She's out.
She has the debt.
Now she has the debt and no job. And then, well, in 20 years I can get a job. And it's like, okay, well, why do that? Like if my wife wants to be a nurse in 20 years after, maybe there's no kids, she can just be a nurse and do school at the same time. A lot of people do that. Or like an LNA or whatever. But so yeah, there's that too. Like, everyone's going to college, and there's so many times women going to school. Like this girl up in Michigan I was just talking to. She wants to get married. She's like, oh, I wish I could get married. Like I don't even want to go to school. I just want to have babies. And I'm like, well, why don't you? She's, oh, there's no good men. And I'm like, you know what? It's not going to happen. You're going to graduate. You're going to meet the man, and your degree is going to be worthless. She's like, yeah, I already know, but like I don't know what to do. So she's going to school. So that's, and that's the reason is that's like she felt like that's her only option. School. Like if I'm not doing anything, so I should just go to school, right? And it's like, honestly, if I were you didn't know what you wanted to do, why go to school if you don't know what to do? Like, what if
it just becomes like a thing to do?
What about in 15 years if you're like, dang, I really wish I didn't get that degree in the sciences because I wish I was going to be an engineer instead.
Underwater basket weaving.
Yeah, exactly. Underwater basket weaving. Like, what if you want to be a foreign language teacher, and you went to school to be a math and science, and then now you got to go back to do that, and it's just stupid. If you don't know what you want to do and you get out of high school, I would just chill, bro, or go travel or something. Go move to a different state. Go stay with some family somewhere else. It'll broaden your horizons. Go do some concrete. I don't know. It's always good to do concrete.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous when you have the Biden administration coming out and forgiving all this student loan, which is eventually, it's going to cost all the American people in the end. We're going to have to pay for it.
Yep.
In the end, and I think it was Nancy Pelosi before he even came out and forgave any of this stuff. It was I think it was like a couple months ago or something like that, when like the big student loan stuff was coming up, and she was like, "Well, actually, President Biden doesn't have the power to forgive student loans." So this is more of like a Congress issue. And then Biden comes out and forgives the student loans anyways, which he goes under like this, where was it, the Patriot Act or something?
Yeah.
Where, I forgot what it was. He goes under the Patriot Act, which is like a thing that you can only do in times of war.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, which he's saying this was like some weird special...
Why? Because of Ukraine and Russia?
Yeah, because Ukraine and some special thing with COVID and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, here it is right now. This was back in, was it 7/29? Was that July?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, I think July, yeah.
'Cause...
So July 29th, Pelosi says Biden doesn't have the power to cancel student debt. The president can't do it. And then after Joe Biden came and did this, she came out and tweeted, President Biden's bold action is a strong step in Democrats' fight to expand access to higher education by delivering historic targeted student debt relief to millions of borrowers. More working families will be able to meet their kitchen table needs as they recover from the pandemic. Which don't forget that the pandemic was pretty much solely started by the Democrats anyways, because they wanted to shut down the entire nation, which lost people their jobs and lost a lot of money. And so this is something that they're that. You can't break a plate and then, try to fix it and be like, oh, look, I fixed it. You broke it in the first place, dummy.
Yeah, if you glue it together even, it's still busted.
Yeah.
So,
and it's so funny with all this, inflation is such a big thing in the economy right now. And, they just passed this massive Inflation Reduction Act. That was in air quotes. And, this is supposed to, stop inflation. But then, they were saying something about they're going to, it was going to, slow down spending or something like that. And then they go and drop how many billions of dollars on the student loan forgiveness plan. And it's so dumb. They say one thing and then do the other thing. And I don't know. What do you do? You can't really do much right now until November. Hopefully Republicans get back in.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think the United States is going to last in 2024, man. Either way it goes. Dude, people are getting nuts. And fall of an empire is 340 years. And that's average. Yeah. So maybe we're on the lower side of it, and we're at what? 1776. So we're at 200.
250?
250.
Past 250.
Yeah, because 2024 will be 250. So pretty close. 100 years off, but you know what? I don't know, man. It's getting bad out there. So
yeah, you have the New York. I think what is she? Kathy Hochul. Is she the New York governor?
Yeah.
Yeah, she comes out and says that. Republicans need to move out of New York because they don't belong there. They don't,
And I agree. I have cousins in New York, and I don't know if you guys are listening. Probably not. I should have told you at the family reunion we just had about this. But you guys, you need to move out. Like, seriously.
You don't think they should stay and fight?
Nope.
Why?
It's a lost cause.
There's gonna be more polarization. It almost pushes us further.
I want it. I want people who are in blue states to move out, because that vote in California, California has the most Republicans in this country. Did you know that? Or they did. Okay, and that's because the population of California is so huge. But if the state is blue, then that's all those electoral votes go to Joe Biden. So if you had the people move from California into Texas and South Carolina and any red state, you could be, there's some, I think like Nevada and stuff, like either way, so you're not that far away. If you move into those red states, that'll bump, except it'll have to be after a census, I think, where they'll have to count everything. I don't know. But then those states will become more populous. Like Florida, dude, Florida's going to be getting even more and more electoral votes. Yeah. Florida's population is huge. So, yeah, move out, dude. It's a lost cause. They'll fall apart. Like, that state will fall apart. If they're just left to their own devices, look at these Democrat cities just falling apart, just trash. Companies will move out. Because they won't be able to afford it.
They already are. Gavin Newsom he put out another ad, in his, upcoming presidential run, where he's, he's the governor of California right now, and he's trying to get all these, what are those? These, like filmmaking companies to come back to Hollywood because so many of them moved out recently. Like, he put out this whole big advertisement about, how Hollywood is the filmmaking capital and it should be once again. And so, you guys need to come back because we believe in freedom over here, not in Florida. So, like, yeah, dude, companies are already moving out.
Yeah, but the thing is, if they were good, people would be there, but they're not. They're trash.
The problem, though, is when these companies move out, they're going to be bringing their politics with it.
Yeah.
Because all these places are, like, owned by BlackRock. Except with Texas. I think Texas actually just came out and, like, I think they did something where they're coming out against BlackRock, the whole state of Texas.
Good, because they're a conglomerate. They're essentially a legal monopoly, let's be honest.
But anyways, we've probably gone long enough anyways. Javen's first time back, he's got steam rolling out of his ears over. He's thinking so much.
I know, literally, like, he came in to do the podcast, and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. We're just talking about all this stuff, and so we're kind of shambling this episode together to get it done, and it was good. I had a good time.
Yeah.
So,
but thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys like and follow the show. Spread it around with your friends. If you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything, make sure you guys rate the show. And just, spread the word because, grassroots is one of the best ways of marketing. So just thank you guys for listening, and remember, the cross works.